Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Iron Angels 3, a Hong Kong action movie from 1989 that stars Alex Fong and Moon Lee. The following plot synopsis was taken from the website Asian Film Strike. In this third installment of Teresa Wu's seminal Girls with Guns franchise, only Moon Lee, Alex Fong, and Karina Sa returned from the previous film, with only the former two having starred in all three films. As the titular Angels, an elite task force that rids the world of assassins, dictators, and terrorists. This time, Moon has to infiltrate a terrorist organization bent on starting a war between Thailand and Vietnam. She succeeds, but has to leave her tracking device behind so that Alex and Karina, assisted by Thai agent Kwai and a bony white guy nicknamed Computer, are left running across Bangkok trying to locate her. Now, Iron Angels 3 actually opens pretty fast with a brief assassination attempt. None of our main characters are present, but we are quickly introduced to our villain, who is hilariously stupid. And you would almost think that this is a parody of the first two films, just based on the villain alone and how he acts. And to reinforce this feeling of silliness, a lady villain shows up a little bit later with a little baby alligator in tow, and I think she pets it a few times. So this is a little goofy. Even Moon Lee has a silly persona near the beginning, but in her case, it's for a reason. Because she's tracking a woman on a train with the intent of taking her out and assuming her identity for the undercover operation. Now, I recently reviewed the second film in this franchise, Iron Angels 2, which had some story issues, mostly due to that vacation setup and the tendency for our protagonist to cause trouble and put civilians' lives at risk. This third installment has its own problems in terms of script writing. It's a bit clunky. It bounces back and forth between Moon's undercover work and the investigations of her colleagues, and they don't really collaborate a lot for much of the film. Act 1 makes enough sense, but Act 2 starts to feel less focused, especially during the kickboxing match scene and subsequent street fight, which are more like diversions than a part of the main plot. The lack of villain screen time also creates a situation where you forget at times what the ultimate goal is for our protagonists. So I would classify Iron Angels 3 essentially as a brainless action flick, but sometimes that's okay, because we're here for the action. Now, speaking of action, that's the only thing you'll care about while watching this movie, and I have good news. It's very plentiful and fun to watch. Moon Lee gets a lot of screen time during the first section of the film, but then she kind of disappears for huge chunks of runtime, and then is practically absent completely during the finale. But she does have some impressive action moments. Her first scene is early on, and it's a one-on-one fight on a train. Good back and forth between two ladies. In her second fight, she's trying to infiltrate the bad guys, right? So she shows up, and they want her to prove her fighting skills. So they force her to defend herself against a small handful of bodyguards, and she breaks out some sweet moves during that sequence. It's pretty impressive. Not long after that, she gets another good, albeit shorter fight against two bodyguards in training, who are armed with machetes. So this movie's it's got some nice pacing here. Now, the male characters also get to show off at times. There's a scene against some killers who surprise them near a pineapple stand. Again, it's a pretty fine fight. Typical old school Hong Kong stuff. You get the wider angles, allow you to see everything clearly. And on top of that, we get a bonus car chase at the end of that scene that has some legit stunt work. There's a two-phase Thai boxing match that I referenced earlier that's surprisingly long and pretty well executed in terms of the fights. It takes place in this boxing arena with like a roaring crowd, and it also serves to add some variety to the fight design. We get a street fight with some machetes after that, and this entire sequence is barely connected to the main plot, but who cares? We really don't care. The big highlight of the film is a one versus many mansion fight featuring Moon Lee, and she comes back in the middle of the runtime. And this is I think it's a fan favorite from her career, and it's one of the best scenes in the film. There was some variety in terms of melee weaponry, which I will not spoil. And then you get the big finale, A ton of gunfire, a large body count. Moon Lee is absent, and the action design gets ridiculous, James Bond style. And you might know the reference when they do it. You're wondering, like, how on earth our protagonists don't get shot, because they're just exposed in the open, and then all the bad guys are shooting thousands of rounds, and they all miss them. It's the kind of stuff we like to see. The sequence takes it to another level after that, though, when it transitions to, like, the hand-to-hand fights, and those finish the film strong. So this movie definitely does deliver on the action. And, watching it again after many years, I enjoyed it more than I have in the past. Perhaps because I went into it expecting a brainless action flick, and I do recommend this if you're in the same particular mood. It's currently available streaming on Amazon, but that's the atrocious English dub version. It's fine, given the silliness of the plot, but hopefully we get a Blu-ray release at some point in the future, maybe with the original track. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.